This is Blue July, and you're listening to the Be Someone podcast. Lights looking bright, the H got the vibe. See my name on the signs, it's my time to shine. When I was cruising 45, and it crossed my mind that I shine like the sun and that I'll be someone.
Hey, welcome everyone to the Be Someone podcast. This is part 2 of the Keys Ingredients episode. We're sitting here with Carson Keys, son of Michelle Keys, our guest. Now, Carson, I wanted to bring you on because a great majority of the conversation we just had was about you. You know, you were like the centerpiece at 3 years of age, right? You were diagnosed. I'm not even going to try and repeat it, but it was, with a form of cancer, correct?
Sure.
Do you have any memories or recollections of that age and the treatment and the stuff that you went through, being poked and prodded and whatnot?
Yeah, so it is a really interesting age because there are just slight snippets that you will remember.
Yeah.
One of the things for me was the smell. And there's certain memories linked to olfactory or smells.
Yes.
And I was able to study that through one of my classes. And it's really interesting because that's one of the things that I distinctly remember is the smell of the MD Anderson hallway. And if I smell that even in an alcohol swab or something like that, it just is an immediately click, tied back to a memory from a long time ago. So, certain smells. The other thing is too, is I don't remember much, but just getting my blood drawn. That was one of the things that I do remember was getting my blood drawn. And at such a small age, I was supposed to be getting it drawn at my elbow, but I was funny about it for some reason, and that just freaked me the heck out. And so I wanted it drawn at my wrist, and so they decided to take that vessel instead, because I was insistent all the way up to the end of my treatment. I would not have it here. I would only do it here, and that's the only way. And they just make me look the other way at the stuffed animal wall, and then it would be done before I could think about it. But
did you ever get used to that?
So the one thing that I do remember is we'd have to wake up really early. And so every 6 months we do go back and do checkups and stuff like that. And so that pretty much got routine for a couple times, until we stopped going, but, used to it in a sense of, okay, yeah, we're getting up at, 3:30 in the morning again to go downtown Houston and something like that. But, actually during the hospital stay, I wouldn't say, I remember too much at that point. It was more after when I started to actually get my memory that I was remembering, okay, we're going back to get checks. And then after the fact.
Yeah, and I think it's one of these elements, right, that we compartmentalize. If you have not had to directly deal with it, or maybe a loved one has had to deal with it, we don't understand truly what the process is like. How long were you receiving treatment?
So I was receiving treatment for probably about 6 months.
Yes.
And then in and out with checkups after that for some time. But it is true. It's you remember sometimes that's the other thing is when people would come and visit, and it's almost those core memories, you could say.
Yes.
Of when we'd have family friends from McAllen would come up and visit all the time. And so one of those other memories is the play area. We were in a pediatric wing of the hospital, and so they had this play area, and the way I remember it was us going around in these race cars and zooming around in circles. But then I went back and looked at pictures, and someone's holding my IV by my side as I'm in a race car. And so it's crazy to see what I remember versus what was actually going on. And the part where my mom talks about playing into the strings of imagination.
Yes.
That was huge. And just getting to experience going back and reading those journal entries and going back and looking at old photo albums, it's oh my gosh, I do not remember it this way at all, because in my mind it was a game and it was a battle that I had to defeat the tumor,
So specifically, tell me some of the things that your mother would help you with when it came to imagination, because we spoke about it briefly on the first podcast, down to naming it and then changing the vernacular.
Correct.
Whenever you spoke about it. But what are some of your specific recollections?
So just the term adenoid is like the key memory. I didn't even know what that was. I knew it had a bad connotation. I just knew that was something not to be like taken lightly, and it was like, adenoid's bad. We're gonna get rid of adenoid. Like that's what I remember. And then just other things is embellishing certain aspects. So as she said, like using the imagination of going down hallways and just imagining that we're on an adventure. You know, we're on this crazy adventure filled with different obstacles. And so I think that's like some of the techniques that were used. And also, like she said, was never calling it my cancer.
Yeah.
And we never referred to it as that. It was the cancer. And it was that, so we didn't take any ownership of it.
Yeah. Going through it, do you feel that, like that mindset that it played into the healing process? Because I'm a big believer, you know, and our brain has these capabilities that we're not even, you know, we're just scratching the surface when it comes to, you know, understanding what the brain does.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it helped with the healing process?
I think it absolutely did. I mean, I've seen countless times what your mind is truly capable of. And like you said, we are only scratching the surface. The human mind is an amazing thing, and we have not tapped its power whatsoever.
No, we haven't.
And I will say that, you know, through treatment and using imagination, I think it helped, even if I wasn't aware of that subconsciously. That was a huge factor, in my opinion, that was contributing to healing for sure.
What about the role of your father? Like, how did your father play in? I just got through speaking to your mother, and she talked about his leadership capabilities. Like, what were you able to glean from your father's leadership capabilities, you know, coming up and growing up in that situation?
Sure. So one of the things that I do remember was, and my mom told me about this a little bit after the fact, and I was able to understand a little bit more. But when I was first diagnosed, they knew that one parent was going to have to be with me a lot of the time during the hospital, whatever that looked like. And they said, who do you want to come with you? Like, do you want your mom to be with you, or do you want your dad to be with you? And at the time I said, I want my mom to be with me. As, you know, a super young kid, that's kind of expected. But what I truly do think is what wasn't given enough credit is behind the scenes. My father was, you know, obviously going to work to sustain our family, and even my sister staying at home and praying from afar. Just also like the aspect of other family around when I was in the hospital. There's a lot going on outside of the hospital that I didn't even know about, and some things that I will never know about. But in a sense of talking about his leadership of just always being there, and you know, he was one of the ones who would always get me ready in the mornings before we go to checkups and stuff like that. And so he was a vital part of our treatment, and also just keeping our family on track, and just like keeping us encouraged, and helping us to plow through in a sense, or just keep moving forward, and recognizing this as a situation that we can build off of, and not something to regret.
Wow, that's good stuff right there. So going through your experience, I know that it happened at a very early age, right? 3-4 years old.
Right.
And then you had treatments, you know, for, you know, a little bit after that.
Yep.
Is there a different respect for life? Like, do you go around and you're like, Ali, this grass smells really good. Or this sun, the warmth feels really good on my skin. Like, has it changed you, but for the better?
Absolutely. One of the things I wrote about in my college essay is treasuring balance. And once you figure out what the lack of balance or the interruption of homeostasis means to you, you forever treasure balance once you're restored to it. And so I'll say that this whole situation has just had me look at life in an entirely new perspective. And for that, I'm like truly grateful for that perspective on life. At times, I will say that can lead to perfectionism because of a fear of messing up a second chance. But to that, I say that it makes me all the better in work ethic and, pounding the pavement on like getting something done and doing it to the best of my ability, because I will not let that go to waste. But I will say that just when I'm able to remember that and take a step back, it's just when you realize how many of our worries are so stupid. Yes. When you realize that most of the things that you worry about, you'll forget tomorrow, are so insignificant. But it has truly changed my outlook.
Okay, so like just looking into the future, what do you see as your life's work? Because right now, I know that you changed your major, right?
Yes.
You're going in a different direction.
Yes.
What are you wanting to do career-wise, or what are the things that make you happy?
Yeah, so like my mom just talked about, serving others. Bottom line is I have a passion for that in whatever way possible. I love getting to come up here and see pediatric patients and get to capture that through media. But I truly don't have like a set, I want to do this. Yeah. I'm just going to kind of, have faith and just see where that goes. Right now I'm in Mays Business School, and so I'm being educated in the field of business. But hopefully I'll be somewhere in the media production field, either in live production or filmmaking. So that's the plan as of right now, but I'm open. I'm not stressing about it.
Yeah, I think y'all Keys have a strange way. I won't even call it a strange way. Y'all have a way of making some very good decisions and bringing things to fruition that are inside of your heart and, want to come out. So thank you for coming on the show today and giving us like 10, 15 minutes of your time.
Absolutely.
And anything we can do. Me and Josh over there, we got your back on that.
Appreciate it.
And thank y'all again for listening to the Be Someone podcast. We got Carson Keys right here, handsome Carson Keys. Y'all take care, have a blessed day, and go out and be that someone.
Lights, camera, session. Use the flow, molasses. Blue the line, my fashion. Future brightening glasses. Applause from the masses.
This is the Be Someone podcast.